Hi everyone, Kim here at Olive City Homestead and welcome to today's video. It's the middle of August. Been a couple weeks since I posted a video and let me tell you why. So in today's video we're going to be discussing how we can enjoy nature, our gardens, whether they be flower gardens or veggie gardens, our orchards, how we can enjoy nature in the intense heat of summer that I and so many people are experiencing right now. And I do have 5 ways that really make this not only possible, but wonderful. And I'm going to share those with you in just a minute. But first, I do want to share with you some harvesting, because when I was watering early this morning, I noticed there are a lot of large looking veggies I have missed. Some zucchini, some cucumbers, and we need to go get those right now. All right, I think I saw a zucchini in here that needs to come off. Oh, yep, there it is. Right there. Okay, I think in here we've got some Armenian cucumbers. Yep, there's one. I think there was another one. Oh, and there's another one. Oh, over here, I see one that has gotten humongous. This is far too big to be good. It's going to be bitter, I'm sure, but guess what? The chickens will love it. Probably time to take that acorn squash off. Oh, there's another one under there, Armenian. Another acorn squash, but that one's not ready. Oh my gosh. There's another cucumber behind there. Okay, let me get to work on these cucumbers. Some lemon squash. Uh-oh, look what I see. This is the one, the monster. Oh my gosh, it's big. It's like 16 inches long and about 4 inches across. Yeah, big. So yes, it's the heat of the day and my watermelons and squash here do look kind of droopy, but they'll perk up again once the sun goes down. Meanwhile, there are some big watermelon in here. I probably got 10 or 12 watermelon in here, but there's a couple that have been here quite a while, and I'm going to harvest one of them, I think, right now. Right in there. Can you see them? I have to wade through all this to get to them. We'll see how that goes. All right, I just have to show you these peppers. I'm not going to cut them off today because my daughter has requested burrito bowls for her birthday in a couple of nights, and I'm going to use them for that. But just look at these peppers. I've never grown these before. Can you see the swirling, gorgeous colors here? Kind of a mix of purple and cream and I don't even know what you would call these colors, but these are blot peppers, blot, B-L-O-T, and I am so growing them again from now on. We've already sampled several from this tiny little plant. I'm going to grow a lot more of these plants because they taste wonderful and they look gorgeous, like works of art. I always say nature is the best artist, and I stand by that. Lots of okra, some of it right size, some of it borderline, and some of it way too big, but we're going to harvest some. I see strawberries. Got to come out here and pick some. They're hiding all over. Also, tomatoes, cherry tomatoes to be exact, my favorite kind, and that would be sun golds, and I have hundreds and hundreds that I need to harvest today and tomorrow. Yeah, as long as I do that, as long as I keep taking the ripe ones off, then the plants will keep producing. And I definitely want them to keep producing because sun gold cherry tomatoes are the best. You know, in my opinion. In my very experienced opinion. What do you think? What are your favorite cherry tomatoes? Well, here is some of the harvest. I still need to go back and harvest the strawberries and all those sun gold cherries. But here's everything except the monster zucchini I showed you. Look at that watermelon. Isn't it gorgeous? I've never grown one that big before. And there are several more that size and then a bunch of others coming up. This is a Moon and Stars watermelon, otherwise known as the Cherokee watermelon, and it is delicious as well as being so pretty. Look at all the little yellow stars and the big moon. There's even a little second moon right down there. I've also got a Burgess buttercup, another zucchini, not the monster one, a lemon squash and a yellow squash, and a bunch of Armenian cucumbers and some Roma tomatoes. Yeah, now I just got to get those sun gold cherries and we'll be set for the day. Okay, so that job's done, and I'm looking forward to shredding up some of that huge zucchini and making some zucchini bread. I love a good sweet zucchini bread with walnuts or pecans mixed in, but also zucchini bread is great if it's made in a savory way. And I actually did a video on that last year, and I will link to that in the description below and right up above, so that if you're interested in trying a savory zucchini bread, you can check it out. It's turned out super well. And here comes the sun. My umbrella works only so much. And that takes us back to the question at hand. How can we enjoy nature the way we should be and could be when it is so, so hot? Truly, for the last month or 6 weeks, maybe more, it's been over 100 to 110 degrees Fahrenheit here where I live in Northern California. And that's super hard. I used to love it when I was younger, but in the last 5 years or so, I think I've finally moved past the point of loving it. I don't hate it. I enjoy the sunshine. I love the sunshine. I'd be happy if it was sunny all the time, but the heat is very much draining on me at this point. So much so that it has once again cemented in my mind my decision to move. I do need to move in the next 2 or 3 years to a climate that does not get this hot for 4 months of the year. So, I mean, in a way, that's a good thing that it has, made that decision a firm one for me. But meanwhile, of course, I and everyone else who lives in a climate like this has to deal with today, the reality of this heat. We haven't had rain here since, I don't know, January, February, maybe. About a month ago, we were told we were getting rain, but I saw 5 drops. I don't think that counts. Do you? Yeah. This kind of dry, glaring, intense heat really does a number on one in many ways. Physically, obviously, but also mentally and emotionally. And I was nearing burnout. I didn't quit my garden. I took care of it. I found ways to make that work, as we'll discuss in just a moment. But the enjoyment of it really started to wane. It was very hard to continue to revel in the garden the way I used to relax in the garden the way I always had, when it was just so harsh of an environment with this heat. So I learned, I adapted. These are things that I've done in the past, but I really made a concerted effort to do all of them to make this work for me the way it's going to need to for the next few years. And now I want to share that with you in hopes that it can help some of you who are perhaps feeling a little bit of burnout in the middle of August, toward the end of a hot, hot summer, wherever you might live. So first up, my big suggestion is take some trips. Take some road trips to somewhere cooler. And so I did. I made an effort to make this happen, even though it was inconvenient, because I knew it would be well worth the effort, and it so was. And I'm going to share some clips of a few of those trips with you now, and I hope you enjoyed them. I think you will, as much as I enjoyed them at the time, or at least a little hint of that. The thing is, when our own environment is keeping us from enjoying nature, we can always find somewhere else that will welcome us with open arms. And so I'm going to share with you now a trip I took recently to the ocean with 3 of my kids. My 18-year-old, she's going to be 19 on Monday. She went to summer camp. Her camp, Camp Okaizu, is an oncology camp that she's been going to since she was about 10. And very sadly, very unfortunately, it actually burned to the ground along with the nearby town of Berry Creek a couple of years ago. And so she's missed camp the last 2 years, other than in a virtual online way. And this summer they rented out some various campgrounds and made camp possible again for the kids that love it so much, both the oncology patients and their siblings. And because she actually aged out of the camp during the 2-year break, they did a special session for her and others like her who are now 18 or 19 to go to a Campo Kaizu graduate session. So she just loved that, and they held it at a Girl Scout camp. They rented that out. That was right near the Pacific Ocean down near Santa Cruz. So it was a 4-hour drive from here, 3 hours to get to the coast, and then an hour down the coastline on Highway 1, which was such a gorgeous drive. I love driving Highway 1. The Pacific Ocean, the beaches, the cliffs, it's just gorgeous. Anyway, when I saw that, I knew that her siblings who still live at home with me, my 22-year-old son and my 16-year-old, they would love to experience the ocean too. So after picking her up on the last day of camp, the 4 of us spent the day just enjoying so much the wonder of the ocean. We found several great beaches there right along Highway 1, and we just had a blast, and I will share some of those clips with you now. Another road trip I took recently, and I actually did a video about it, was to the Mendocino Botanical Gardens, and they also are near the coast in California. gorgeous gardens, and it's a big long video, but I just want to share a clip with you from the middle of that video that reminded me so much of so many times I went hiking in the mountains that surround where I live, and you always seem to stumble upon waterfalls and creeks, and there is just nothing like the sound of that, is there? I mean, it just gets right to the soul and refreshes you in a way like nothing else can. So here is a clip from a rushing creek amidst so many beautiful trees in that wonderful botanical gardens in Mendocino. Now, up the coast from both those two places I just showed you is the large redwood forest. And I spent some time there with my oldest daughter after visiting those botanical gardens, and oh my gosh, the grandeur of those trees, and really any forest that you can immerse yourself in, does something like nothing else really can. Trees just speak to us on a level that goes beyond, I think, rational thought. It's just nature, connecting with nature. It's like you're in another world, really. So, number one, take a trip. Take a trip to somewhere cooler, preferably with water and trees, and you will really remember what it is about nature that inspires you and fills your creative well and nourishes your soul, just makes you feel better all around. And the second way you can enjoy nature in the intense summer heat, and this might surprise you a bit, but it's to read. Yeah, reading. So I'm going to share with you one of the books I've been reading. It's called The Nature Fix, and it's by Florence Williams. The subtitle is Why Nature Makes Us Happier, Healthier, and More Creative. Now, this book really goes into the science of why nature makes us feel better. And I just found this fascinating. It has studies from all over the world in all different types of nature environments, and it's told in a very interesting way. The writer is very good at what she does. It's not at all dry. I think you'll really like it. So, even when you're not outside in nature, you can be learning more about nature and why you need to get out in nature and make those road trips. Another way that reading / writing can help you enjoy nature during intense summer heat is through a nature journal. In this way, you can record all the things, of course, that you're doing in your garden, and that's always fun. You can be putting pictures in it if you want to get scrapbooky, or you can just keep, records of when you planted things and how much you're harvesting from different things. But something I've discovered about journaling recently is how much more fun it is when you decorate it. So things like cutting up the covers of old seed packets and putting them in the journal. And, if you're good at drawing, which I'm not, drawing flowers and such. But I use old calendars, the daily calendars that you rip off each day. I always thought those were such a waste, and the pictures are often gorgeous, and now I can use those in my journaling. I'll include quotes from gardeners, from books like the one I was just telling you about, and from nature poetry, which leads me into the next point. Point number 3 is nature poetry. So I know you might not be a poetry person, but I encourage you, even if you've never read poetry much in the past, or maybe even didn't like it in the past, try some nature poetry. I've got 2 recommendations for you if you're not already a poetry lover. One is Mary Oliver. Mary Oliver wrote a ton of poetry books on nature, and she wrote in a very casual, if you will, way, a very free verse, conversational, I think that's the best term, way about nature, about trees, about birds, about various animals and various plants, and about the world around us in a way that I think relates to everyone, and in a way that I think you can really appreciate, and that will really just feed your soul in a way that nature always does. Another great way to enjoy nature poetry I found is to discover old poets who wrote, say, 150 years ago, but they lived in your area, or they lived in an area that, say, you visited before, you're familiar with the landmarks. So around here, that would be like, Mount Shasta and Mount Lassen, and yes, the Pacific Ocean, and just the Central Valley in general. Where you are might be something totally different, but I know that there have been poets down through the years that lived in areas that you yourself have experienced firsthand and love so much. And when you read their poetry, the power of their words describing those familiar landmarks, that familiar scenery, it just connects with you. You know what they're talking about, and you once again experience those same feelings, even if you can't get to that spot right now at this very moment. You can live vicariously through them and their words. And another way I challenge you to use nature poetry to help you enjoy nature in this intense heat is to write poetry yourself. And you might be saying, what, are you kidding me? I could never do that, or that does not appeal to me, or that sounds crazy. So I've got 2 suggestions for you. One is to write a haiku, which is a very short poem. And basically it is 3 lines. The first line has 7 beats, the second line has 5 beats, and the third line has 7 beats again. And if you would like an example of some haikus, I'll put a couple down in the description that I wrote a few years ago because they're copyright free. And you can get an idea of what I mean, but you could also just look them up online. So that's one idea. Very simple, fun, a little challenging. It's actually very good for you mentally too, stimulating and getting you thinking about how much you enjoy nature, because what haikus are, and actually in my opinion what most nature poetry is a way for you to experience the sensory joy of nature, the sensory elements. So you're putting into, whether you're reading or writing, all your various senses as you enjoy those words and therefore the nature those words are describing. So the second suggestion is simply to do that in free verse, meaning you don't have to rhyme anything, you don't have to count any beats, just think about the way nature makes you feel. I think it's easiest if you pick a specific moment or a specific place and focus in narrowly on that. Whether it be a flower and you know exactly what you're seeing when you look at it, each petal, each part, or an animal. The ducks behind me, I'm sure you've noticed off and on throughout the video. But yes, focus on the senses, and with free verse you can write whatever you like. You don't have to show it to anybody. It can be just for you. You have your own little poetry notebook just for you, although I'd love to see some of your poetry if you want to share. And point number 5 is practical, very useful, and it truly helps. It's what's gotten me through this hard, long, dry summer. And that is to garden, to water very early and late. Watering early, and I get up around here and come out about 5:30 or 6 to water. And then in the evening, if I want to do any transplanting or just any garden projects, putting up new fencing, I always will pick the evening because there are no cool days. If I wait for a cool day, I'm going to have to wait till, I don't know, December, probably. So set that alarm and get up super early. That's my suggestion. Or you can put everything on drip irrigation. But 2 problems with that are, if it's not already on drip irrigation, again, it's not going to happen until cool weather, right? So let's be real. And secondly, I always suggest that you only put some stuff on drip irrigation because hand watering really connects you with your garden. Whether flowers or veggies and my orchard with all my fruit trees, hand watering is what enables me to see up close and personal what's actually going on, if there are any problems, if something got missed. It just makes me know for sure what's happening out there. Plus, I enjoy it. And if I'm in my house and the watering's being done automatically, especially in the middle of summer when it's so hot, I don't know how much I'd come out here. But I have to come out right now or they won't live. So I just do it super early in the morning. So those are the 5 ways that you, like me, can enjoy nature even when it's over 100 degrees for weeks on end and you're thinking, are you going to burn out? How can you enjoy nature? Well, these are the ways. Plus, I have a little bonus one for you, and that is something that should be obvious, but when you're raking in the harvest, long about now, August, September, October, you sometimes forget. And that is to use the fruits and veggies you're harvesting. Take advantage of them. Don't let them just sit on the counter getting old and not being in their prime. Use them, bake with them, cook with them, or preserve them. Put them in your freezer, dehydrate them, can them if you are into canning, although I will say I do not can, at least in the way that involves heat around here, as you can probably imagine why. But I will do pickled peppers, and I dehydrate my herbs, and I freeze my fruit. And that way, even if I don't feel like cooking or baking because it's so hot, I have them for the winter and I can make use of them then. And then right now, what I try to do is use a lot of my veggies fresh with no cooking at all. That can be done with a lot of them. And then the squashes, a lot of those are winter squashes anyway, so we're just setting them aside for later. But whatever the case may be, whatever fruit you're pulling in, do your best to plan for it and preserve them, or eat them now. Enjoy them. Don't let them just rot away. Now, if you have a few chickens and ducks, you have a little bit of leeway, because if you do forget something, well, they're going to enjoy them even if you don't, and that's going to save you some money and give them some pleasure and nutrition. So there you go. But yes, that is the other big point. The bonus point is that if you're putting in all this work in the heat of summer, in the dry, vast harshness that is August, well then you should also be enjoying the benefits. So thanks for joining me today, folks. I'm glad to be back, and I haven't gone anywhere. I'm still here watering and harvesting and enjoying my garden. You enjoy nature too, won't you? Try one of these ways, or better yet, as I've learned, try all of them. It really does help you not only survive, but thrive in the heat of summer. See you next time, everyone.